All right, man.
Uh, this is Robbie McKenzie Youth Ministry 6.3, whatever that means. If you've been following, it means Nehemiah 6:3. I'm doing a great work and I cannot come down. I'm interviewing the one, the only Brad Chad Montague. Chad is not his middle name, I don't think. But who knows? Where'd you get that name, by the way, Brad Chad?
It was all a lie. I lied when I would go places that my name was Chad,
Yeah.
and it was actually at summer camp. And my mom showed up, and all my friends were like, "Hey, Chad," and she's like, "Who? What?" So it's not really a nickname more, as it's like a scarlet letter. It's
Oh,
like you lied one time.
uh,
Oh, there I am. Oh, I went away.
you're there.
Yeah,
Well, good. Glad that your origins was based on a lie, so that's great.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. All great things are.
yes, exactly. Why don't you kind of update everyone, probably the three people who will watch this, as to what you're up to these days, where you're at, what you're doing, and then I'll ask you a few questions after that. So,
Yeah. Well, I am. I'm disappearing. Is what I'm doing.
yeah,
Sorry.
I see you, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm working with Freed Hardeman in the marketing office, which has been a really cool position because I'm able to just be with lots of different types of students and able to work in this context to sort of create some cool things. So, like Go, which is a cool program we're getting to do that will hopefully give us a chance to reach a lot of students and a lot of churches, and so that's kind of boiling my blood right now, get me excited. And then we're also working with a nonprofit that we started last year, Love in Stereo, and that's going great. We're in starting year 2, so that's what's keeping me busy.
Sweet, sweet. Just the reason why I wanted to interview you real quick is what's on my mind is if there was some brain I would love to just camp out in, it would be your brain. 'Cause I mean, it would just be hilarious. It would be fun. It would never end. And so all that to say is, how do you come up with such innovative ideas, not only that apply to youth ministry, but apply to all areas of ministry as well? Where do you get your thought process? I don't know if that's an easy answer or easy question to answer. Where do you
Yeah,
get your ideas and all that? What innovative process do you come up with to come up with stuff like for example the Go Network and Love and Stereo?
hmm No, thanks. That's like a really big compliment. But like the the thing is that most ideas come from other people's ideas.
Yeah.
And I mean, like really, like, because I always looked at people that did really big stuff, and I looked at them like, oh, that's so cool. Like they did the most innovative thing, and
Right.
then you find out like, oh, they're just ripping somebody off. Like you'll see a great movie, and you're like, oh, that director's so creative, and then you're like, oh, he's just remaking a movie he liked, and he's doing it in his own style.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of like the thing that I found, because when I first started in youth ministry, I found out that I was bad. Like I was really like, it was not good. Like my Bible classes were like, terrible. Like there was the worst one was when, uh, it was a Wednesday night and there were like 5 kids there. And so I spent the whole class just like berating the kids, like, why aren't more kids here? What's the problem?
Yeah.
My wife like just kind of like stopped the class and she was like, these kids showed up and they're probably not going to again if you do that. But I started to realize like, okay, well, I want to make this good.
Yep.
But the problem is that I was approaching youth ministry as like I thought, oh, well, this is what you do as a youth minister.
Yep.
And then the classes started working when I started using ideas from other places that weren't like from youth work. Because at the same time I was doing a TV show, and I was having fun with that. I was myself and having success with that. And so I was like, well, I'll just do class like I would do class. And so out of that came it was more fun, it was more engaging, and it actually worked. And so so I started, every event came, we tried not to camp out, like figure out what other churches were doing. We started looking, okay, well, what are other businesses doing, or what are companies doing or bands doing that's working. And so we started using that. And so finding, for me, I think the key is finding unconnected things
Yeah.
and connecting them. And then from that comes something fresh.
That's great. Yeah. And that's kind of I guess, using all the creative processes God gave us, to pool all the resources together, from businesses. I mean, it's not like businesses have everything right, but it's not like we can't use them,
Right. Yeah, they know what they're doing. I mean, there's something, as terrible as Jersey Shore is, MTV knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
they know how to find their audience, how to speak to them, and make them waste their time watching them. And it's the same with anything that is getting kids' attention is worthy of my attention, because it's like, okay, well, why? And so that's the fun part.
Absolutely. Speaking of getting kids' attention, technology. I know I Facebooked you a while back asking, how can we use, even that term Facebook means I messaged you and all that. The
Yeah.
terminology. But anyway, about how do we use technology for good. And I don't want to talk about technology for bad, because I'm sure we've heard many lessons about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't want to talk about that. But how do we use youth ministers, anyone? How do we use technology for good? I mean, what are some good things? If you could give a youth minister 3 ideas right now that you can use technology for good, what would those be? Or if you just have one idea, it doesn't matter. So how?
Well, yeah. No, I'd say the first off, the most important thing is find out how your kids communicate.
Yeah.
Because that was one of my problems, is that like I was a big emailer, and so like I emailed all these kids, and I had like a few that were emailers, so they would email back, and I thought, oh, I'm really like doing the right thing. I'm emailing them, like I'm using everything right, or I'm on Facebook, and then I started to find that I had some kids that Facebook was their world, and so that worked for them.
Yeah.
Then I had other kids that which I don't like to use my phone. Like I don't like for texting, for anything. But for the majority of my kids, that was it. And so I had to adapt to that. So just I had to figure out, okay, this kid is about this kid's about whatever it takes to communicate with them. Then that's what you had to do. So that's really the most important thing. But then the other thing that I found was like really beneficial, and I'm seeing a lot of guys do this, and it's working, in different ways, even in big church, as far as like with the adults. But as far as blogs go,
Yeah.
like a lot of youth ministers have a blog, but some of the I've seen a lot of guys who will say like they're doing a Bible class, and they'll do a special blog just for that class.
Yeah.
One of the things I've seen how that will work is it allows the students you have more content, it allows like more student input, so they'll have some students write. So that's sort of a way to get them to engage outside of the classroom. But a lot of churches are doing that with sermon series and things, and I don't know. I think that's a really good thing. But also, this is a weird event that we did that we found a way to use. And we set up a blog, and we also did Facebook ads, which if you've never done Facebook ads like this,
Yeah.
like really easy and pretty cheap if you want it to be. But we did an event that was like an all-night lock-in thing, which is usually a terrible idea. But this was we did it as a reward. Like we said, if we get this many people in class, one of our kids had said, if we get this many people in class, I will live in a box for 24 hours.
Right.
And And obviously we had a unique kid who his brain went to that, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Idea. So what we did is we did a video blog, and so every hour on the hour we posted an update online, and we had hyped it up before that this kid was going to live in a box for 24 hours. And so before the lock-in started, like I had done a few updates with him in the box, and we had set him up. Um, but what we found is we had a bunch of kids who came to the event because they knew like it was going to be something different and that parts of it were going to be online through the night. But what was cool is that we found out on that Monday morning that there had been kids who stayed home who all night were hitting refresh and and like were engaging in the event outside of it. And so there's this whole other idea of creating content for the web or for students to engage in outside of even when they're with you. And so there's a lot of possibility there, but that was a ridiculous event. There's an easier way to do it than we did it, but there's something there.
Yeah, that's super. And I bet kids will remember that for a long time.
Yeah, for good reasons and bad.
Right. That's good. Sounds like a good form of punishment as well. But just as we come to a close, a couple things. I'm big about encouraging younger youth ministers, and I know you said when you first got into youth ministry, it was like you realized how you were a bad youth minister, and I did as well. As you were saying the class thing, I ran across a memory of mine where I did the same thing, and it's like I think my wife said the same thing. What about the kids who actually did show up, Robbie? And I was like, oh, and so.
Yeah.
But what would you, if say I'm a youth minister and I'm just got into youth ministry and I really need some encouragement, what bit of encouragement could you give to a youth minister if you were to say a couple things to him?
The best thing that I heard, there was an older guy that I really admire, and he has an incredible job. Like he works. He's like a banker, but he's one of those guys who he worked at a bank, but yet he created a lot of extra loans and helped people, and he did a lot in the community, and he's like super involved. And the thing that he said to me was, "There is no job more important than your job," and that's true. Like, and that stuck with me. Yeah, it's hard, and yeah, like sometimes it's a blast, but it's the most important job in the world. And so with that, there's a level of responsibility, and so that's what got me excited, and that's what made me say, okay, well, I'm going to pour all of myself into this, and I don't want to be bad at it. If it's the most important thing in the world, like I want it to be good.
Yep.
And so that's really the thing that if I could rewind, I would tell myself that earlier. Is that it's the most important job in the world, and I think a lot of guys like know that, but we all need to be reminded of that. And, so just keep at it. It's worth it.
Thanks, Brad. Real quickly, and then we'll end the video portion, and then just hang with me, and I want to pray with you a little bit. But tell us about June 5th through June 10th, the Go Network Camp, and what that is about, and then we'll end this thing.
Yeah, man. This has been something I've been dreaming about for a really long time and hoping that it would happen, and it's just like so crazy that it is. The whole point of the week is about helping students move into service in their communities. And I really think that this generation has more resources, more of a heart than any other generation before. And I think they could change the world. And so this camp is designed to inspire and empower them to do that. So throughout that week, we're going to be putting people in front of them that are leading remarkable lives, and giving them hands-on experience on what they can do to make that happen when they leave. So I'm excited about the camp, but I'm even more excited about what happens after the camp.
Absolutely.
Like on that last day that the camp builds to, we're actually going to give every student there an envelope with a challenge. And I hope that becomes a thing that happens every year, where there's a big challenge that we give them. Because I think whatever level of expectation you give students, like, they're going to do it. And so it's just so exciting about what's going to happen. There's also, like, the thing about that week I'm excited about is that like, we're just hoping to put good people in front of them and create that environment. Well, really, it's all about, like, youth, a priority on youth leaders connecting with their students that week. So so whatever your group needs that week, you'll be able to make that happen. So I'm hoping that that creates some really good relationships between youth leaders, volunteers, and the students they bring.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's June 5th through the 10th, and registration opens in February. So I hope I'm not the only one here.
No, you will not be. Thanks so much for tuning in. Brad, thank you so much. Love you.
Thank you.
Appreciate all that you do. And everyone else, hang in there.